sort of has to be started off with Kirtan, so we'll start off with Kirtan. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Jaya Gopi Janavala Bha Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Janavala Bha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Gopi Janavala Bha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Rama Rama, Jayo Radha Shyama Sundar Radha, Shyama Sundar Shri Radhe. Jayo Nimai Nitai, Nimai Nitai, Nimai Nitai, Jaya Nimai Nitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Sham Sundar ki jai, Shri Srinimani Tai ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Let's see if technical difficulties will not. It was working and then my screen went black.
Was this one?
Yeah. Wait. No, nothing. So today's class is going to be on continuing the series which we started last week on the 9 processes of devotional service. Let's see if
display settings.
This will automatically detect.
nothing's coming.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey. Okay.
Still blank though.
I don't know why it's making me do this.
Let's look at your screen.
Okay, yes. Okay. Yes, we got it working. Yes, so today's class is continuing our series which we started last week on the 9 processes of devotional service. And in fitting fashion, we're continuing consecutively. Last week was Shravanam, and this week we're continuing with Kirtanam. And they've asked me to speak because I have some experience with this process of Kirtanam, as everyone does in this room. But before we start, we'll just offer some prayers to our acharyas. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Bhajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Shrute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Pancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhashyatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurava Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is the first slide, Kirtanam, and then thank you all very much. Please, any questions or comments? That was the entire class. We did Kirtan, so we're done now with the class. Okay. No, so Kirtanam, it's a very simple topic, relatively speaking. We've all, since we've been coming to the temple, probably heard about Kirtanam, heard about this process, heard about the chanting of the holy name. So it's very much something we already know. So today's purpose is really just to give a succinct summary of some of the key points around Kirtanam and some common misconceptions which we might have, which hopefully will be cleared and we can approach this process properly with inspiration and with joy and vigor. So to start, we're going to read from this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, texts 23 and 24. This is really the two verses which overarch the entire series that will be happening over the next handful of classes over these 9 processes. So I'll say a line and you can repeat after me. Shri Praharada Vacha Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedanam Iti Pumsharpita Vishnu Bhaktischennava Lakshana Kriyete Bhagavatyadha Tanmanyeditam Uttamam. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming His servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto Him, in other words, serving Him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. So a little context for this verse. This is in Canto 7, which covers the pastime of Lord Nrsimhadev. And specifically in this chapter, in chapter 5, Prahlad Maharaj has been sent to the school of Sandanamarka. So Hiranyakashipu, being a good father, has sent his son to the school in order to learn all the materialistic things. So economic development, sense gratification, all the good stuff. How to make money, how to be happy, how to enjoy, how to do labor, well, in their case, loot and take over the entire all the planetary systems, the three worlds, and to use that to enjoy to the full extent. And after returning from school for an extended period, Hiranyakashipu in his throne room asks Prahlad Maharaj, "Okay, my dear son, what have you learned in your time at school?" I mean, I'm sure parents do this. My parents still do this for me. They don't understand anything I'm saying. I'll come back from medical school and they'll ask, they're like, "Oh, what did you learn?" And I'll say some stuff and they're like, "Oh, very nice. Okay, I don't understand what you're talking about." But so Hiranyakashipu asks Prahlad, "Please tell me what you have learned in school," expecting Prahlad to tell him, "Oh, it's all about economic development and we should make a lot of money and we should spend all this money enjoying and taking over the three worlds, yeah, war cries." And instead, Prahlad Maharaj goes into this wonderful set of verses talking about service to the Supreme Lord, who was Hiranyakashipu's arch enemy. The Supreme Lord is who Hiranyakashipu has been chasing his entire life, trying to defeat and trying to become the Supreme Lord, quote unquote. So when Prahlad Maharaj says, "Oh, everything's about remembering Lord Vishnu, everything's about offering and worshipping Lord Vishnu," Hiranyakashipu gets angry. Now, Prahlad Maharaj was an enlightened soul, and he gave us these 9 processes, and these 9 processes create the entirety of our process of devotional service. Specifically, the word is used Navalakshana. Navalakshana means 9. Lakshana means great qualities. Lakshana means thousands. So Navalakshana means these 9 great processes or 9 great qualities that should be that every devotee should perform in order to achieve the desired goal, which is pure devotional service. So today we're focusing on Kirtanam. Last week we did Shravanam. And if you notice, even in the translation, hearing and chanting are thrown together in one single sentence, Prahlad Maharaj does. Everything else, all the other 7 processes have individual definitions. So it's very important to understand that this Shravanam and Kirtanam, this hearing and chanting process, are very much intertwined. So hopefully everyone remembers what we heard last week, because these 2 processes, the hearing and chanting, go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot hear without chanting, and you cannot chant without hearing. But today we'll focus on Kirtanam. And what is Kirtanam? I think it's very important to set a definition, because last week His Grace Jayantai Prabhu mentioned in his class that often there is a classic idea within our movement, within the Krishna consciousness movement, that Kirtanam means chanting. You come and sing. It's specifically what we have done for the last hour or so. We did Gaur Arati, we had Jai Mada, we had Nrsimha prayers. It's all about this singing process. We sing very melodiously with nice instruments. We have to put nice tunes and nice lots of alaps and voice quivers, and that's what makes Kirtanam what Kirtan is. Yes, and that's part of Kirtanam, but specifically it's important to understand the definition. The definition has been given in this translation Prahlad Maharaj just gave, but also it's given in the Nectar of Devotion, which is Srila Prabhupada's translation and commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. And Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is really one of our primary texts in understanding how to practice pure loving devotion. So in that, Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada's translation is, when a person loudly chants the glories of the Lord's activities, qualities, form, etc., his chanting is called Sankirtana. Sankirtana also refers to the congregational chanting of the holy name, which is what we just did. We did the congregational chanting, but it is an umbrella term. Kirtanam doesn't just refer to singing. It refers to speaking about the glories of the holy name. It speaks about speaking the glories of the Lord through studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, through studying the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita. Recently was Gita Jayanti on Monday. So that includes the process of Kirtanam, the chanting of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is one of our acharyas in our disciplic succession, wrote in his book Tatya that Shravanam is directly intertwined with Kirtanam. Shravanam is hearing, the oral reception of the holy name and the Shastra and the scriptures. And then it is a duty that in the process of Kirtanam, one should memorize these vibrations and repeat them. It's very important that we actually don't just do Shravanam, we also do Kirtanam. And conversely, we also just don't do Kirtanam. It's incorrect to just chant, and never hear it all and continue to build on what we have studied in the scriptures. Now, something which is very important, which is found in Nectar of Devotion, is this idea of Kirtan versus Japa. Japa also falls under the umbrella term of Kirtanam. It is the chanting of the holy names. But Srila Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Devotion that when Japa is practiced, it is for the personal benefit of the chanter. So japa is done for ourselves. We do japa every day, however many rounds we do. Srila Prabhupada instructed us to try to do 16 rounds per day. That japa is done, the chanting of the holy name is done for our purification. It is like taking a bath. Every day we take a bath, every day we should be chanting. It cleanses the inside of the heart. Later we'll talk about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtakam, and that first line, which is Chaitodarpana Marjanam. It's the cleansing of the temple of the heart, right? And Srila Prabhupada says, when kirtan is performed, it is for the benefit of all others who may hear. Very important distinction. Japa should be done for our internal purification. And then we should do kirtan in the public, which is why Harinam and Sankirtan was very important to Srila Prabhupada. He stressed it very highly that we must go out in the streets and chant these holy names and distribute the books, because in turn, by distributing the books and preaching the passage of the Lord through the books of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna book, etc., we're still doing kirtanam. It's that overall process. It's not just the singing process. So now we know what is kirtanam. Okay, we have an understanding. It's about chanting. It is about reading and reciting the scriptures. Why should we chant? Some people say, oh, there's so many other processes we can do. Oh, Prabhu, I will do this other process. I'll do the tapasya. I want to do yajnas. And Srila Prabhupada explains, in this current age, Kali Yuga, we're in this age of Kali. It's quarrel and hypocrisy, right? It's very difficult to perform any other activity. Right? We read from the Bhagavad Gita on Monday, Gita Jayanti. Krishna talks about in that the proper process of austerity, proper process of tapa. Right? He explains, if you want to perform tapa properly, you have to go and sit in a secluded place. You have to sit with a deer skin and kusha grass. You have to focus your entire mind on the tip of your nose. It's very tough. It's impossible. First of all, it's very hard to find a secluded place nowadays. Everywhere there is, you have your phone with you. There'll be no secluded place. Everywhere there's data. Everywhere there's service. You can log onto your phone. You can constantly find distractions. It is very difficult. Yajna. Srila Prabhupada, when he first arrived in the United States, it was almost impossible to do yajnas. The first initiation ceremony, they were breaking up pieces of pallets, like the stuff which is used to store big boxes in warehouses. They just grabbed a couple pallets and they're breaking down. They didn't have any ghee, so they were pouring oil and lard and stuff like that into the fire to do the yajna. It was very difficult, and they didn't have anything to throw in the fire. Normally you're supposed to throw rice, you're supposed to throw grains. They didn't have things, so they were throwing popcorn, I think, or something like that, like something they found from the store, and they were throwing. That was the yajna. Yes, it's the intention which counts. The intention, the process that they were trying to perform with love and devotion. They were doing it. Yes, so it was accepted by the Supreme Lord. But it is stated in the Shastra, in the scriptures, how yajnas must be formed. How there's important mudras and different activities that must be done before the yajna, during the yajna, after the yajna. We read in Mahabharata how the Pandavas had to perform the Ashwamedha Yajna, right? It required so much pomp and horses and lots of complicated process where they had to travel all around the globe with the horse, and if the horse got stolen, then the Yajna was pointless and they had to restart the whole Yajna. Yajna is very difficult. It's not possible in Kali Yuga. We can barely have time to gather all the things. I remember whenever we do initiation ceremonies, like Diksha ceremonies, we do Yajna. So oftentimes I would help with my parents in gathering the supplies for the yajna. Oh my God, we have to go to 4 different stores. You have to go to one store to find the firewood, and if you find the wrong wood, the yajna won't start properly. Oh, it's inauspicious. Oh Krishna, the fire didn't start properly because the wood is wet a little bit. Oh, you have to go to this store, you have to buy this. Oh, ghee is very expensive. Oh my God. Ghee is very expensive. Why will we put all this ghee into the fire? It's so expensive. We'll waste all this ghee. So it's very difficult to do yajna. It's very difficult to even do meditation properly. We talked about tapasya. It's so difficult to do tapasya. It's so difficult to meditate even properly. Our minds are so fickle. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says to Krishna, Chanchala himana Krishna. Right? My mind is so fickle-minded. It's constantly wandering. Arjuna says the mind is like a lamp in the wind. It is constantly almost being blown out. It's constantly moving. as part of my medical studies, Ram Tosi Prabhu introduced me, I spent about 6 weeks in psychiatry. So psychiatry, we deal a lot with the mind. And one of my first days in psychiatry, the physician who was teaching me said, we'll do a little exercise. Because he was trying to teach us how the mind works in certain psychiatric patients who have diseases like schizophrenia and things like that. How does their mind work? So he said, close your eyes, try to think about nothing, and then I'll explain to you how your mind works in patients like this, how it's been studied. And he and a couple of nurses came behind me and were all whispering at the same time. 4 or 5 different things. Oh, you should kill the doctor. Oh, you should attack this person. Oh, run away, run. Get the knife. There's a knife there. All at the same time, we're whispering into my ear. And they're like, that is how it works in the mind of someone who has some mental illness like this, like schizophrenia or something like that. It's constantly these different voices. Now, fortunately, hopefully, most of us don't have that many voices, but we all have a voice in our head, which is constantly distracting us. We'll be reading the Bhagavatam, we'll be chanting our rounds. I can personally say, and I'll be thinking, oh, I have this assignment due. Oh, I have this deadline coming up. Oh, is there paneer sabji for prasadam today? Oh, now I want paneer sabji. Okay, now I have to go home and cook paneer sabji. There's always constantly something in our minds. So you can't even meditate properly. You can't even focus properly. So, Krishna says, in the Vedic literature, he says, in this age of Kali Yuga, people are generally short-living, right? We read in the Shastra, even demons, right? Forget the spiritual personalities, even the demons, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Ravana, they all did thousands and thousands of years of tapasya, thousands and thousands of years of austerity. Yes, they were doing it for bad reasons, material reasons, but even they did thousands of years of austerity before they were able to achieve what they wanted to achieve. And even the spiritual person like Vishwamitra Muni, these people, they performed for thousands of years before they achieved what they wanted to achieve. We don't have that. We're short-living. We're extremely bad in our habits. To do proper deity worship, to do proper yajnas, you have to wake up very early in the morning. I'm not a morning person. I struggle to wake up in the morning. To go to the hospital, I have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I struggle with that. I keep snoozing the alarm. At least 2 or 3 times I'll snooze my alarm. So we're very bad in our habits. And we're inclined to accept methods of devotional service that are not bona fide. There's so many things out there we want to read and we want to think and we want to try. So Krishna says, very simply, these are not all possible. So what do? This method of devotional service. It said, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatananyata. It said 3 times, Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. It's very simple. If you say something 3 times, you should memorize it at that point. That's what I was always taught. If something, my professors used to tell me, if something's showing up on your slides multiple times, it will be on your exam. It's pretty much they're giving you the answer. It's on your exam. So this is going to be on our final exam of life. It's on the exam. That the only way to get deliverance is to chant the holy names of the Lord. And still, if you're not convinced, there's so many more examples where it's in the Shastra where it's given why we should chant. Kirtanam Deva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vijay. Right? Simply by chanting the holy name, one is liberated and returns home back to Godhead. Right? Narada Muni tells Vyasadeva, Narada Muni himself says, there's so many other processes that people try to do. They start to study the Vedas, perform big sacrifices, chant the hymns of the Vedas. All of them simply try to do all this to gain a place in the association of devotees and chant the glories of the Lord. So my point being, I'm giving all these things. It's said, Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's so many places it's said. The essence is chanting is the way. In this age of Kali, it's very difficult to try anything else. Now we urge everyone to try to perform all the other processes that are said in the 9 processes, all other processes that are said in the Vedic literature and the established authoritative Vedic scriptures. Jai Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki, Jai Shri Nimai Nitai ki, Jai. We try to continue doing all other processes. It doesn't mean you stop. But you have to realize it is very difficult. So if you want the easy way out, if you want the most time-sensitive way out, if you want the best way out, it's said very clearly. Just chant. Kirtanam. So now we know why we should chant. What should we chant? There's a lot of mantras out there, right? People, when Srila Prabhupada first, when the movement was growing, lots of his disciples would come and ask Srila Prabhupada, oh, Srila Prabhupada, we've heard this mantra being sung. Oh, we heard this recording. We went to this temple. We heard this thing sung. Should we sing this? Srila Prabhupada always made it very, very clear. And he said this multiple times in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Nectar of Devotion, and in multiple room conversations and letters. He always said it. One should adhere seriously to the chanting of the holy name as recommended in the scriptures. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's very clear. That's the mantra, right? We just read in the previous slide. Kirtana Deva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Paramajit. It's Kirtana Krishnasya. It's the name of Krishna that we're chanting. Now, in Nectar Devotion, Rupa Goswami says, yes, there's other authoritative scriptures that we can continue to read. There are some examples given here. Brahma Samhita, sung by Lord Brahma, right? Narada Pancharatra, Narada Muni, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is one of our primary texts. In addition to this, there's other Bhagavad Gita. These are all have one thing in common. They're all praising the Supreme Lord. That is the only prerequisite criteria which we have to approach. And it has to come in one very important thing. Srila Prabhupada always stressed this, was it must come in an authoritative line of disciplic succession. That's the very thing which is very important. Right? There's so many things out there which we want to hear, which we want to read, which might praise the Supreme Lord, but it's very important that we gain it through the proper lines, through the proper medium, which is through a bona fide guru, a bona fide spiritual master who comes within one of the disciplic successions, because in that way, the knowledge which we're gaining, the kirtanam, the glories of the holy name which we're hearing, have been passed down from the Supreme Lord Himself. These disciplic successions pass down from the Supreme Lord to Brahma or to Lakshmi Devi or to Shiva, and come down through these lines through the acharyas, ultimately reaching us. And if we hear those things, we can know that they are true and they are real to what they originated from. So people will say, okay, you've given me why we should chant. You've convinced me on these things. But Prabhu, I don't have qualification to chant. I am so insignificant. I am so humble. I cannot chant? I'm not pure. I cannot chant. It's very clearly said in Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj himself says that anyone can chant. When he is sent back to the school of Sandana Marka, the demons, the other children of the demons, who are also in the school, approach Prahlad Maharaj because they say, oh, you're very happy. I mean, for those of you who watched the nice Mahavatar Narasimha movie, there's that scene. They all approach Prahlad and say, oh, you're always so happy. And the bullies are there. The bullies are like, oh, it's all fake stuff. But they're like, oh, you're so happy. What's make you happy? And Prahlad Maharaj explains, I always thinking about the glories. I'm always chanting the glories. And he teaches them and chants the glories of the Lord with them. Anyone, if those who are within the families of demons are able to chant, what to speak of us? We're even lower than that in the age of Kali. What to speak of us? There's no prerequisites. It is said in Nectar Devotion, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, even if one is physically unfit, classified lower than others, devoid of material qualifications, or not at all elevated in terms of pious activities, the chanting of the holy name is beneficial. An aristocratic birth, advanced education, beautiful bodily features, wealth, and similar results are all unnecessary for advancement in spiritual life, because one can very easily advance simply by chanting the holy name. Very clear. There's no qualification for chanting the holy name. People always often have another misconception. They say, the qualification for chanting the holy name, especially, as I said, oftentimes this process of kirtanam is thought to be this singing of the holy name. They'll say, the qualification is I have to sing very nicely. I have to be able to have nice voice, I have to be able to play instruments nicely. And I've had people approach me, they'll say, Prabhu, you're so nice at singing. I can never do this kirtan. I'm not good. I cannot sing. I just listen nicely and sit in the temple room. I will sit nicely in the back and I'll just think, and you guys all sing very nicely. No, there's no qualification. Yes, if you have the opportunity, if you have the nice voice, if you have the capability to sing very nicely, we should, right? There's nothing wrong in doing every aspect of devotional service to its perfection. Even cooking. Recently, we had I think 2 weeks ago, we had our Thanksgiving feast. Do you think Radha Shamsundar or Nimayata or Krishna needs nice pizzas and sweet and sour tofu and Chinese noodles and pasta and all that? Do you think he needs that? No. There's a pastime of I believe it's Sanatana Goswami, who, for his deity of Krishna, he would make offering. Sanatana Goswami was very aloof from material thing. He didn't care. He was doing his bhajan. He was chanting the holiness of the Lord, listening. That's all. He didn't really care about eating, and that he was very aloof. So, but he had a deity of Krishna. So he would offer, all he had was some wheat. He would beg from as alms. They would give in the village, and he would mix it with some water, and he would offer and make little dough balls. Like there's a maybe word for them. So he would make little dough balls. What is the word? Bhati, yeah. He would make the little dough ball and offer it to his Gopal deity. No salt, no flavoring, nothing. Very plain, just water and thing. And the pastime goes that the deity actually asked something. He's like, you can add some salt, a little bit of flavor at least. And I can accept, because the point is we're doing it with love and devotion, right? That's the point. But Gopal goes, you can add a little bit of salt. And Sanatana Goswami becomes very like, oh, where will I get salt, Gopal? I'm just a thing. I'm completely engaged. How will I get salt? Where will I beg salt from? And the pastime goes, salt merchant is coming down, and he gets stuck, and Sanatana Goswami helps rescue him, and in return he gives him a lifetime's worth of salt, which apparently must be a lot of salt. Like, gives him lifetime. So then from then onwards, Sanatana Goswami was able to add some salt. Right. The point of the pastime is, Krishna doesn't need all this, pomp and nice, sumptuous prasadam. No, but if we're able to offer everything with perfection, if we're able to cook very nicely and offer to the Supreme Lord, He won't say no. It's the love and devotion we have to offer with, right? On the opposite side, you can make the most perfect sabjis and perfect food items, but if you don't offer with love and devotion, it won't be accepted by the Lord. It's the same thing which applies with this process of Kirtanam, right? When we're singing Kirtan, it's very important. Yes, if you have the capability to offer with beautiful voice and rhythm and instruments and everything nicely, yes, do it, because it's a perfection. But the Supreme Lord is looking for the love and devotion when we're offering our singing. So even if our voices aren't perfect, even if it's not, everything is not to like perfect pitch and everything, no, Krishna will accept that love that you're chanting the holy name of the Lord. And as we said, anyone can chant. There's no prerequisite, there's no qualification. You must chant, you have to chant. It is the way for this world. So that's why there's this common misconception. Now, that being said, there is this process by which chanting and doing this kirtan process, glorifying the Lord, as we progress in our chanting, we can continue to add to our chanting in order to improve it and improve our quality of devotional service. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the Shikshashtakam, which is the only set of verses of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, the 8 verses, he says, Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnana amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. A devotee can very peacefully chant the holy name by behaving more humbly than grass, being tolerant like a tree, and offering respects to everyone, without expecting honor from anyone else. Such qualifications make it easier to chant the holy name of the Lord. Specifically, one very important word, it makes it easier to chant the holy name of the Lord. Mahaprabhu is not saying that you have to do this to chant the holy name of the Lord. By performing this, it makes it easier to chant the holy name of the Lord. Chanting the holy name is sort of like a loop. In Shikshashtakam, in this first verse, this is the 3rd verse. In the first verse, Mahaprabhu says, Cheta Darpana Marjanam, right? And at the end he says, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. This process of Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, this Sankirtan process, Cheta Darpana, it cleans the temple of the heart. It makes it more pure. But it's a constant loop. By chanting, because there's no prerequisites or qualifications of chanting, you become more pure. Your heart becomes cleansed. You're able to then be more humble. You're able to be more tolerant. You're able to be you're able to honor everyone, because you realize everyone's a devotee of the Lord, a servant of the Lord. And in turn, that makes your chanting better. And by making your chanting better, you become more humble and more tolerant and more equipoised. And that makes your chanting better. And it's this never-ending loop where you're constantly able to become better and better in your chanting and better in your quality internally. And that's how you achieve pure devotional service. Now, all of this being said, there's no qualification of chanting. Oh, anyone can chant. You must chant. I remember growing up, my parents did Bhakti Vriksha in Houston. And so a lot of devotees would approach. I knew as they started picking up chanting, they would ask my mom, Mataji, sometimes I have to chant at night. I know it's not good to chant at night. Is it okay if I chant at night? Yes, chant at night. Yeah, it's better if you chant in the morning, obviously. Morning is Brahma Muhurta. It's more pure time. But chant at night. There's no requisite. There's no qualification. Mataji, they would ask my mom, oh, sometimes I have to chant after I've already gone to the restroom earlier in the day. It's okay, right? The holy name of the Lord is so merciful. Nama Prabhu is so merciful that even if you have to chant, if you're quote unquote physically impure, it's fine. We learn even if physically unfit, physically impure, it's fine. Chant the holy name of the Lord. But people say, oh, what if I'll make offenses, right? And yes, there are 10 offenses. And in the interest of time, I won't go into each of the 10 offenses. But there are offenses you can make against the holy name. And it is said that you should guard against these 10 offenses. And there's 10 up there. There's an 11th offense we always add when we are reciting the offenses. The 11th offense is the one which, at least I am very guilty of. I think many of us are. It's being inattentive while chanting, right? We're all going to, as I've already said, it's tough enough to meditate we are always thinking about, oh, what will I eat? What will I do this? What will I do that? Right? We're all going to be inattentive while chanting. It's going to happen, right? So what is the way to say, okay, now I'm claiming there's offenses. So now you're going to get offenses. You're going to build up those offenses. So now this is an excuse for people to say, oh, I won't chant. I won't do this kirtan process. Srila Prabhupada knocks us out in the purport to the Srimad Bhagavatam verse we started this class on. Srila Prabhupada gives a very, very simple thing. He says, there is no way to atone for any of these offenses. So now we're all going to have offenses. But then he says, constant chanting of the holy name will make one free of offenses, and then he'll be gradually elevated to the transcendental platform on which he can chant the pure holy name and thus become a lover of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's another loop. We just talked about one loop before where it cleanses your heart. It's the same. It's another loop again. You chant the holy name, you make offenses. What's the way to get rid of the offenses? You chant the holy name. You'll keep making offenses and you'll chant the holy name again and you'll keep chanting the holy name. And eventually, by constantly chanting the holy name and cleansing the heart, you will get rid of these offenses and you will be able to chant the pure holy name and achieve the ultimate goal of this process. That is to achieve pure loving devotional service. So there should never be an excuse that, oh, I'm going to be making offenses. Because that's not an excuse Srila Prabhupada is saying. Very clearly, chant the holy name. Anyone and everyone should chant the holy name and perform this Kirtanam process. So, towards the end of this class, I want to now give a couple of examples. Because all of this is very, very nice and easy to say. I gave you a lot of theory. Right? It's very hard to now see how we can put this into practical practice, I guess. It's easy to say, okay, you must chant, you must do this, but how do we put this into practice? There's a couple people who have exemplified this process of Kirtanam and made it very easy for us to follow in their footsteps, very easy for us to understand how we can practice this in our daily lives, right? We'll start off with Shukadeva Goswami. Each of these 9 processes, it's said in the Srimad Bhagavatam that if one perfects each of these 9 processes, it's as if they have achieved all of the other 8 and they attain pure loving devotional service. Now it is our duty to try to perform these 9 processes, but if we can perfect even one, we can achieve the ultimate goal. Now each process, the 9 processes, has a personality associated with it who perfected the process and achieved the ultimate goal by doing this one process. I don't know if anyone remembers, it was mentioned in last week's class, who was the personality for Shravanam. Anyone remember? Parikshit Maharaj, yes. It's cheat code, it's also up there technically still. But yes, Parikshit Maharaj was someone who mastered Shravanam. He spent 7 days and 7 nights. Again, as I said, Shravanam and Kirtanam are so closely tied in. The pastime stays the same on who mastered Kirtanam, and that is Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami is the son of Vyasadeva. It is said that he, while Vyasadeva was reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam and Lord Ganesha was transcribing it, Shukadeva Goswami was in the womb of his mother, and he actually spent, as is said in the scripture, 16 years in the womb of his mother. I would like to see the medical records on that one, and I would be interested in seeing the ultrasounds on that one because it would be very good learning experience for anyone who's interested in medicine. But he remained in the womb of his mother for 16 years because he was so detached that he did not want to come out into this material world. They said he thought, oh, this material world is so full of misery. Why would I want to come out? And even when he did come out at 16 years after being, the moment he came out of the womb, he was already completely self-realized, completely detached. He walks straight into the forest. No clothes, nothing. He just comes out of the womb and just walks straight into the forest. And Vyasadeva, who, by the way, Vyasadeva is said to be Mahamuni. Vyasadeva is incarnation of the Lord. That's why how he's able to recite the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva, in his role as a householder, still had attachments. He went chasing after Shukadeva Goswami into the forest, saying, "No, please come back. Your mom wants you. I will. Please come back." Shukadeva Goswami didn't listen. He was completely detached. He walks in the forest. So from birth, Shukadeva Goswami had already heard, by the way, Shravanam has been done already. He's heard everything, and he walks into the forest. And when Parikshit Maharaj has insulted the Brahmana by placing the snake around his neck, was his son Shringi? The son was name was Shringi, right? Yeah, and Shringi, Shamik Rishi, yes. The son Shringi curses. Shringi curses Parikshit Maharaj that, since you insulted my father, you will die in 7 days and 7 nights from the snake, the Tataksha. You will die. Parikshit Maharaj approaches the Brahmanas and says, what should I do? And they say, go to the bank of the Ganga and just study the scriptures. Just hear the scriptures from realized souls for the next 7 days. That's all you can do. And so they all come to the bank of the Ganga, and everyone gets there at the same time. I don't know if there's like a mass email which was sent out, or WhatsApp group or something. At least we're very nice here in Bergen County. We have a nice WhatsApp group. Ram Tulsi Prabhu sends messages every week. Oh, we have Sunday feast. Oh, we have Wednesday Sangha. Oh, we have this festival coming up. Nice, we have a WhatsApp group. I don't think they had a WhatsApp group, but everyone arrives at the same time. And Parikshit Maharaj approaches, and they're all looking at each other. Who should speak Srimad Bhagavatam? And from the picture you can see, I don't know if you can see nicely, there's a lot of very elevated personalities in that crowd. Narada Muni is there. Vyasadeva himself is there. Vyasadeva, who's literally recited the entire Srimad Bhagavatam and helped in transcribing it to Lord Ganesha. Vyasadeva himself is there. And yet, out of all of them, Shukadeva Goswami has chosen to speak. And he speaks non-stop, the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, for 7 days and 7 nights. And he achieved this perfection to Kirtanam. Now, I'm not asking anyone to read the entire Srimad Bhagavatam non-stop for all day for the next 7 days. I don't know if you make it through 7 days and 7 nights non-stop. But what we can take away from personalities like Shukadeva Goswami is the importance of reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, we must hear it first. Hearing is very important. This is why I said that processes are tied together. The hearing process is extremely important. Shravanam first, but it is our duty to recite the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada always said, my success will be seen when all of you, his disciples, become gurus yourself, become teachers yourself, and preach this knowledge. That's why Srila Prabhupada stressed. You learn, first you hear and listen and study the Shastra, the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, these scriptures, and then you must go out and preach them. And you must constantly tell them to everyone else. That is the process we can continue in our Kirtanam. Another personality, Narada Muni. Narada Muni in his previous life was a very young boy. Was the son of a maidservant. Not very rich, not very high birth, apparently according to the social norms, right? His mother's only service that they really had was during the month of Chaturmasya, which is the monsoon season. It rains a lot in India, and they didn't have nice airplanes and Air India and Indigo and nice airlines in India and first class trains. They didn't have that kind of stuff for the sannyasis and saintly people to travel during the rainy season. So instead of traveling, they would stay in one place for 4 months and do some austerity and recite and speak the holy names and the glory to the Lord. So Narada Muni as a young boy would hear Shravanam again, first Shravanam, hear this. And then when his mother passed away due to a snake bite, he went out, performed austerities, and in his next life appeared as Narada Muni, the son of Brahma. And he takes up everything that he heard, and he travels around the world and performs Kirtanam. He travels around the world preaching through all the 14 planetary systems, from the top to bottom. It's said in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in Krishna book as well, that during Lord Krishna's pastimes on this earth 5,000 years ago, Narada Muni would visit Dwarka on this earthly planet, and he would come and see and hear the pastimes that Krishna was performing in Dwarka, and then he would again go around the entire universe preaching and singing the glories of the Lord. So, what can we take away from Narada Muni? We must constantly preach the glories of the Lord. Same thing as Shukadeva Goswami. The idea is the same. We constantly preach. Next, personalities. Very important. Now we're moving in. I kind of made this in chronological order. Sukadeva Goswami is a little far back, then Narada Muni is a little bit thing, and now we're getting closer. Only 500 years. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was an incarnation of the Lord, but he came specifically in the mood of the love of Srimati Radharani for the Supreme Lord. And the process that he established, he said very clearly, he was very clear against all of these yajna and big things. He said, Kali Yuga, the process that we must take up is Harinam Sankirtan, this chanting of the holy names. And he put it into practice. He chanted non-stop in the streets. He created this kirtan movement that we see, this process of singing the holy name of the Lord. And it's not just about for humans. He made it very clear, going back to the qualifications, that there's no one who cannot chant the holy names of the Lord or hear the holy names of the Lord and participate. Right? When Mahaprabhu was walking through the Jharkhand forest, he was traveling around India, visiting the holy places, and he was traveling through the forest. He starts chanting to the animals and the tigers and lions alongside the deers, and it's obviously it's unusual because the lions and tigers are usually hunting the deers and these other animals. It is said that all of them joined along in the chanting of the holy name and weren't attacking each other while Mahaprabhu was chanting. So he made it very clear that there's no qualification. Anyone, even the animals, can participate in this process of Kirtanam. And his associates carried on similarly. We hear about Haridas Thakur, who really mastered and is the icon for japa, this chanting of the holy name for our own purification. Right? We hear about other associates, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, who all spent so much time after having heard the instructions from Mahaprabhu, writing the books like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, these Gaudiya Vaishnava literature that we use as the Kirtanam process that we take on as the glories of the holy name and the glories of the Lord to practice pure loving devotional service. So, how can we take after them? Well, it's very simple. It's following this Kirtan process. Mahaprabhu made it very clear that the holy name was the best way. He would have huge festivals for chanting the holy name. Srivas Angan was known for its crazy kirtans. We have many kirtan festivals. We have our Radhesham mellows here. We try to imitate that because that's what we follow the instructions of. We try to imitate that kirtan movement that Mahaprabhu established in the temples and in the homes of devotees. And finally, we have very close to home, only in the last couple of years, right? We're talking about Srila Prabhupada and the entirety of the movement, the Hare Krishna, Krishna conscious ISKCON movement that he established, right? When Prabhupada came here to the United States, no one had ever heard of Kirtan before. It was an unknown ideology, it was an unknown method, right? And Prabhupada came by himself. He didn't come with a huge entourage of people. Especially if you're saying, I cannot sing properly, I cannot have instruments properly. Prabhupada didn't have any instruments. He came with one drum. Actually, this image I have here shows he has a mridanga. When he first came in Tompkins Square Park, very close to here, he didn't even have a mridanga. He had a bongo drum, like there's a famous picture, I couldn't find it, actually I should put that one. He had like a bongo drum and he would sit in Tompkins Square Park and just chant with this drum. No instruments, not fancy tunes, no like nice alaps and different things, just very simple. Kirtan, he sung and people came. People were attracted to the beautiful singing of the holy names, this Kirtanam process, and they came. And he built this. And many of his associates and disciples, we hear many of our wonderful senior devotees within our movement, His Holiness Satchidananda Swami, Radhanath Swami, His Holiness Romapad Swami, Giriraj Swami, they all took upon itself. And of course, many of us youth, there's a couple of us youth here, for us a big name is His Grace Aindra Prabhu, who took upon that same thing and chanting the holy names wholeheartedly, 24/7, he established in Vrindavan. Right? All these disciples of Srila Prabhupada were instructed with this one thing: continue this process. Continue this Kirtanam process. And each of them took it upon themselves, whether it be in singing the holiness of the Lord, or whether it be in writing these books and continuing to spread the glories of the Lord in books, or giving classes and seminars and these wonderful opportunities that we have. It was established that is how you continue this Kirtanam process. So this one, I don't even need to explain this one. It's very obvious what is the process that we take. It is that we continue chanting the holy names of the Lord, singing, and I urge everyone, especially when we have these wonderful opportunities during Gaur Arati, these wonderful opportunities during our festivals, to join along and sing with us, because it is this process of Kirtanam. And it's a very simple process, very easy process. And everyone can take it upon, and everyone can very nicely achieve the ultimate goal. So I hope something was taken away from this lecture. If nothing else, please chant. That's the one thing. If you didn't pay attention to the entire rest of the lecture, that's all we need to think. So with that, I will stop here. If there's any comments, any anecdotes anyone would like to say, any questions, maybe you can do. I don't know. But yes.
Any questions?
It's a very easy process. There shouldn't be any questions.
Very, very good topic. Thank you, Damodar Prabhu, for this wonderful topic in Kirtan. And I remind Mr. Prabhu one question, maybe we'll take one question from him.
Thank you. Damodar Prabhu, thank you so much. It was very kind of synopsis of Kirtan. So, we have Kirtan usually, we do Japa and we do Sankirtan. I think you already mentioned that, right? Can you go a little more and elaborate on that Sankirtan versus Japa, right?
Yes.
What is, I know they are not exclusive, they are, but what is more important, or how do we kind of connect with each other? Both of them, Japa and Sankirtan.
Yes. As I mentioned towards the start of the class, in the Nectar Devotion, Prabhupada says both are very important, but Japa is done for our personal benefit, right? And Kirtan is done for the benefit of others. It's very important. However, and this is very clearly stated in a lot of, I believe His Holiness Satchidananda Swami has stressed it in His Grace Indra Prabhu stressed it a lot during in his book as well, that they are actually not mutually exclusive. They are mutually intertwined. You cannot perform Kirtan or Sankirtan process without performing Japa. Right? It is more that connection that has to be made. Indra Prabhu used to say, doing Sankirtan without chanting Japa is just you're singing for the sake of singing. Yes, you might have a beautiful voice and you might have things, but if you're not chanting the Holiness of the Lord in Japa every day, practicing this process strictly with trying to gain love and devotion, again, it's a process. If that's not done, then Sankirtan is just chanting the holy name. Yes, you will gain some mercy from chanting the holy name, because the holy names of the Lord are so potent in Sankirtan that even if you don't chant Japa, or if you're just doing Kirtan, you will get some sukriti, you will get some grace. But the important connection has to be made that Japa has to be done in order to do Sankirtan. That those have to be done together, and that's because in order to sing or perform Sankirtan properly and have it make an actual impact on people's lives, your heart needs to be pure. Right? That's why Srila Prabhupada was able to bring this holy name so easily, even when he had no backing or anything, is because his heart was pure, because he had practiced for so many years this chanting process, Japa. Right? So when his heart was pure, he was able to very easily give it to others. If you're impure and you're having doubts within yourself about the process, you won't be able to hand it properly to others. So we must do Japa to cleanse our hearts and then eventually give it in the form of Sankirtan.
Thank you so much. But see, with the youth, with the younger generation, we find that they enjoy Kirtan so much.
Yes.
But then we try to tell them, okay, then somehow they are not connecting themselves to Japa.
Yeah.
What would you advise them? You have grown in this movement. You like a family, like with the devotees, surrounded with the devotees. Have you find it challenging for you to Japa versus Kirtan, right? Because interacting with the youth, I see that's one of the most. They all love Kirtan. They can sit for hours and hours. But like then when it comes to Japa, day-to-day practice, they don't find that so nourishing.
Yeah.
What would you advise them?
I would definitely advise them that they have to take it up. Yes, Kirtan can be very fun, very easy. It's music. Who doesn't love music? Especially the youth love music. So Kirtan can be very easy on the ears, very easy to perform. It's fun, especially with instruments. You can put your own riff on things. You can play fancy. You can add whatever you want. It's fun. But that's the thing. I always urge many of the youth that I've been able to speak with that can be your entry point. For me personally, Kirtan was my entry point before japa. But Kirtan was my entry point. My parents say, since I was 5 years old, I was apparently doing Kirtan. I don't know how much I believe them. I was probably just slamming the kartals together. But that's Kirtan. It was a process I was starting. So you start with the Kirtan process, but as you delve deeper and into the Kirtan process as time goes on, you must gain that sentiment towards for japa. You must gain it. And it comes with a good association, proper association. That's why many of the people who associate with people like Andhra Prabhu or people who have associated with Andhra Prabhu know that as you go deeper in your practice of kirtan, you must take on japa. And it is tough, yes. For me even, sometimes japa becomes mechanical, or sometimes japa becomes almost like a chore because I took a vow to chant 16 rounds, I will do my 16 rounds. It can become mechanical, whereas kirtan is all fun. But as you go deeper and deeper, and as you spend more time, it has to become that thing of, okay, I cannot do good kirtan unless my japa is strong. So yes. Thank you, everyone. Now,